Okay, salut Selwyn House. Greetings, Griffins. It is so great to be with you today, and I want to thank Rachel Casabon and Maureen Powers for inviting me, and I want to give lots of gratitude to JP Trudeau for taking the time to come to my home to film this. These are mighty strange and challenging times, and you, the students, the faculty, and the staff of Selwyn House have become some of my very favorite heroes. It's not easy to do what you do every day. These days and months have shown us that as we all struggle to stay healthy and safe and to keep our families healthy and safe, that the world must change, that the inequities and injustices that so many of us have ignored must now be faced head on. I may be wrong, but I think that COVID-19 and the pause that it has forced upon us from our everyday normal lives has offered us an opportunity for self-reflection and a chance to revisit all that is important to us and to reset all that does not reflect Veritas. As we work to support research and development of treatments, prevention, and vaccines to combat COVID-19, cancer, and all that ails the world physically, we must also work to combat our own prejudices, misconceptions, and failures to act justly. Racial inequities are manifest in every aspect of our lives, including cancer prevention, detection, and treatment. This is our time to repair the world. This is a time for action. As you know, 40 years ago this summer, with one leg having been amputated due to cancer, Terry Fox embarked on an east to west coast Canadian run to raise money and awareness for cancer research. He was bold, he was brave, and he changed the world before and after his death. As many of you also know, I was the counselor and then the dean of students at Selwyn House from 1999 to 2019, 20 years. And in those 20 years, I participated in many, many Terry Fox days and runs. I donated funds for many faculty and staff members who themselves and or their family members faced the diagnosis of cancer. I ran for my friends who sometimes won and sometimes lost their own battles with lung cancer, colon cancer, breast, uterine, and ovarian cancers, lymphoma, and other blood cancers. I ran for a Selwyn House student who endured years and years of chemotherapy treatments for leukemia and was still able to graduate from Selwyn House. I ran for the 7th grade student and his family who valiantly fought a winless battle against a most deadly cancerous brain tumor, the same type of brain tumor that ended my own mother's life. I ran for a grade 11 student who lost his mom to breast cancer and who was losing his father to colon cancer. I ran for the mom of 3 Selwyn House boys whose colon cancer went undetected despite years of ongoing indigestion and stomach problems. I ran for 2 of my sisters-in-law who had breast cancer diagnoses the same week that we celebrated the births of our twins, Anna and Katie. And in the last few years, I ran for myself and for so many other family members and friends who have been challenged to face and survive cancer diagnoses and treatments. On June 22nd, 2017, the day's headline was that 1 in 2 Canadians would have a cancer diagnosis in their lifetime. The numbers were high, but early detection and improved treatments made the headlines less dire. That particular day was a very important one for me. I was the lucky Selwyn House faculty member selected to present the diplomas to the graduating class. On that important day, I also learned from a Selwyn House mom, my doctor at the MUHC, that one of my polyps that was found in my routine colonoscopy, and a colonoscopy is an examination of the inner lining of the large intestines that looks for polyps and abnormalities, my polyp was malignant. It was cancerous. I was a 1 in 2 statistic. By the way, colonoscopies are usually given every 5 years once you reach 45 or 50 years of age. We'll get back to that. I had no symptoms of ill health. I was strong, happy, and healthy, and the cancer was new, detected early, and seemed relatively harmless. The surgeon who saw me the very next day was reassuring, and he removed the cancerous tissue a month later. My recovery was swift and easy, less than 5 weeks, and according to protocol, there was no radiation or chemotherapy follow-up as the cancer was so young and so small. The surgeon did decide to keep me on as a patient, however, as some Selwyn House parents had told him that I was special to them and that he needed to make sure that nothing bad happened. Those parents probably saved my life. Special thanks to Dr. April Shammy and Dr. Vicki Baffis, and of course to the surgeon, Dr. Barry Stein. During the school year 2018-2019, I announced that I would be retiring at the end of the summer after helping plan and carry out the International Boys Schools Coalition Annual Conference to be hosted by Selwyn House in Montreal and at the end of June. This was a huge undertaking for the school. It was a huge undertaking for me, and it was a dream come true for me. It seemed the perfect way to end my career at the school. Since my cancer surgery in that summer of 2017, I did have follow-up CT scans twice a year, even though the protocol called for no follow-up. The CT test in the fall of 2018 showed some spots on my liver that were not there during my surgery, and by mid-January of 2019, and as I look over and see Rachel, she's one of the first people I told, I knew that my little, new, and harmless-looking cancer had spread to my liver. By spreading from its original site to a new organ, my original cancer that was not quite stage 1 was now stage 4, the end of the line, as there is no stage 5. Again, I had no symptoms. I was happy, I was healthy, I was in good shape. The liver surgeon, a Selwyn House old boy, Prashanto Chaudhry, who's really one of my heroes, saw me right away and said that my cancer spreading like this was very, very unusual and that I was simply very, very unlucky. He did add that now, as opposed to 10 years ago, there were some great advancements in the treatment of stage 4 colon cancer in the liver, and that I could possibly be cured. I felt so lucky that my original surgeon had ordered those follow-up tests, because with no symptoms, according to Dr. Chaudhry, I would have likely become tired. I was already a little tired, and then weak, and maybe my eyes would have turned yellow, a bit yellow, from the cancer in my liver, and then maybe I might have gone to a doctor, and likely by then it would have been too late to do anything, and I would have been sent home to die. But instead, Dr. Chaudhry and my oncologist, Dr. Asala, started me on a chemotherapy, tested me for the latest special treatments, and added a targeted molecular chemo that cost $2,000 every time I got it, every 2 weeks, got me ready for surgery, removed 60% of my liver, supported me through a speedy recovery, followed up with more chemo, but gave me the needed breaks to finalize the conference planning and attend and participate in what I think was the most fabulous International Boys Conference to date. With the conference behind me and my retirement final, the doctors ordered intense chemotherapy every 2 weeks from July through August. It took me until October to feel fully human again, and I remember that on January 10th, 2020, I felt like Minna. Minna was back 1 year since diagnosis. Today, most all the side effects from the chemotherapy are behind me. One I miss a bit was the long, dark eyelashes and eyebrows that came with the targeted molecular treatment, but with that, also a mustache came too. My CT scans have been clear, my energy level is great, I have finally become a person who exercises regularly, and due to the COVID confinement, I have let my gray hair shine through. I remain optimistic and I feel lucky and oh so grateful. Cancer research saved my life. New technology to detect and monitor cancer lesions and tumors, and for me that was the CT scans and the ultrasound-guided biopsy, plus the original colonoscopy scope, gave me options and possibilities to survive. The chemotherapy protocol for my kind of cancer was supported and funded by monies raised through the Terry Fox Foundation, the American and Canadian Cancer Societies, by Colorectal Cancer Canada, and more. The targeted molecular treatment, panitumumab, goes directly to colon cancer cells and kills them, and gave me those fabulous eyelashes and eyebrows. It was developed through research funds and only recently approved and added to the protocols for colon cancer treatment. Fundraising, such as the Terry Fox Run, have made this possible. The Terry Fox Foundation, with millions and millions of dollars dedicated to research, has helped me and so many cancer patients through research into precision medicine, cancer biology, cancer metastasis, new technologies, cancer drugs, early detection, chemotherapy, and more. But more is needed, and change is needed on many fronts. Actor Chadwick Boseman, the man you likely know from his title role in the movie Black Panther, died this past month at the age of 43 from colon cancer, the same cancer that I had. He was first diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer at the age of 39. Besides playing the superhero in the Marvel's Black Panther, Boseman was known for the iconic black characters he played. Jackie Robinson in 42, James Brown in Get On Up, and Thurgood Marshall in Marshall. Bozeman, who was also a political activist, often spoke about his experiences with racism while growing up. He realized his celebrity gave him a platform to speak against racial injustice, and he used it frequently. He did not speak about the racial inequities of colon cancer, but since his death, much has been written. Bozeman was 43 when he died, 39 when first diagnosed, and I have no idea if he had the telltale symptoms or when they began, but as I said earlier, colonoscopies, tests for colon cancers, usually are not given until the age of 45 or 50. Black Americans have the highest incidence and mortality rates of colon cancer of any ethnic group in the U.S. In fact, the incidence in black people is 20% higher than in whites, and mortality, death rates, are 35% higher. According to a University of California in Los Angeles surgeon and researcher in this area of colon cancer, African Americans are more likely to get colon cancer, they're more likely to have an advanced stage of disease when they're diagnosed with colon cancer, they're more likely to die from colon cancer, and they have a shorter survival rate after diagnosis with colon cancer. She found that African Americans, more than any other racial or ethnic group, were more likely to say that their doctor never recommended a colonoscopy or any kind of colon cancer screening. This is what I meant about racial inequities in cancer prevention and treatment. Black people have the highest rates of non-hereditary colon and rectal cancer in North America. Colorectal cancer is also a leading cause of cancer-related death among black people. Black women are more likely to die from colorectal cancer than women of any other racial group, and black men are even more likely to die from colorectal cancer than black women. The reasons for these differences are unclear, but the numbers tell us that things must change. Screenings for colon cancer must be the protocol for younger black men and women, and doctors must explain and recommend these screening procedures. This is, in many ways, a really easy fix, simply applying the knowledge and understanding we know to help the people who are most afflicted with colon cancer. This is our time to repair the world. This is our time for action. So what can you do to help yourselves and others? Fundraising for cancer research, prevention, and treatment does save lives. Taking an active role in the Terry Fox Run is a great way to help, and we thank you. Supporting friends and family who are facing cancer fears and diagnosis is also something that you can do at any age. Advocating for fair and just treatment of all people in all aspects of life is an ongoing and lifelong responsibility that we all need to assume as our own. In terms of protecting yourself from cancer, and particularly colon cancer, there are things that you can do to help protect your colorectal health. Many of them will become more important as you age. Number one, get screened for colorectal cancer. For most of you, that will happen in your 40s. But listen to your doctors and watch the research. You may have to do it earlier because of family history or other reasons. Number two, eat lots of vegetables, fruits, and whole grains. This is something you can do now. Eat less red meat. Beef, pork, and lamb are red meats. And processed meats, hot dogs, and some luncheon meats have been linked with an increased risk of colorectal cancer. I grew up on red meat, lots of red meat, and in my youth I ate my fair share of packaged luncheon meats and hot dogs. Number three, get regular exercise. That is something you are doing well here at Selwyn House, and you need to keep it up. I was always active, but really exercise adverse, and I have finally changed my ways. Number four, watch your weight. Again, this is something we can all do now and forever. Number five, don't smoke. Long-term smokers are more likely than non-smokers to develop and die from colon and rectal cancer. I was a smoker in my late teens and 20s, and this has likely contributed to my disease. Number six, the last one, limit alcohol. Alcohol use has been linked to the higher risk of colorectal cancer. I was never much of a drinker, a little bit of a drinker. Now COVID-19 has kind of made that a challenge, but that's my challenge. Hopefully you're not drinking. As you age, there are some signs and symptoms of colon cancer. I did not have any of these, but you may, and these should be watched closely and discussed with your doctor. There is no shame in taking good care of your health and well-being, even if the problems you are having are with your poop and your farts, and that's what you need to pay attention to. So you need to pay attention. If you have any persistent change in your bowel habits, including diarrhea or constipation, or a change in the consistency of your stool, if you have any rectal bleeding or blood in your stool, or if you have persistent abdominal discomfort such as cramps, extra farting, gas, and pain. On that delightful and detailed note, I would like to close this presentation by thanking you for your time and your ongoing support and friendship. Running in and donating to the Terry Fox Run is a great once-a-year thing to do. But your ongoing kindness and concern have been and are so healing and so powerful. So many of you, your families, and your teachers have provided me and my family and so many other cancer patients and their families with practical and emotional support. From meals, gifts, cards, emails, visits, phone calls, hugs pre-COVID, and lots of love. For me and all the Selwyn House community who have faced cancer, for the families and friends of Terry Fox and Chadwick Boseman, and so many others, I say thank you for all that you do.